Welcome to this week's episode of Victini News. I am your host, Cuban. Week 2 was a very windy week, with Tailwind making an appearance more than it usually does. Additionally, we had a decent amount of early transactions done by the teams on both ends of the rankings. Without further ado, let's check out the results of Week 2. Our first match of Week 2 was the Boom Burst Backgammon from Alicalcos against the Maryland Misfits from Meta. Meta instantly went on the offensive using Shift Gear turn 1 and then getting a one-hit KO on Alicalcos' Gastrodon with Trailblaze. With the job done, Meta decided to let Toxtricity die, instead of switching out, choosing to do as much damage as possible to Alicalcos' Sandslash Alola, leaving it with only 6% before the Sandslash managed to take out the Toxtricity. A few turns later, it was Alicalcos' turn to set up, using Kingdra and Dragon Dance in the same turn as Meganium from Meta used a Sword Stance. The Kingdra was faster and managed to one-hit KO with Outrage. Gligar came in and managed to at least set up a Tailwind before getting 2-hit KO'd by the Kingdra. This was enough for Tauros Blaze to come in and get rid of the Kingdra with Rock Slide. Alicalcos then switched into Sandslash, and the Tauros managed to take another kill with Rock Slide, potentially proving it was Scarfed, as Meta risked a miss with Rock Slide. This put the game back into a 3v3. As it was beforehand, now it was Alicalcos' turn to set up Tailwind. Compared to Meta, he has a combination here with Windrider on the Shift tree, putting him into a very strong position. But then he sadly forgot to Terra. This left Shiftry vulnerable to Braviary, and most likely cost him the game, as Braviary killed both Salazzle and Shiftry before going down to Talonflame, who was easy pickings for the Floatzel, ending in a 2-0 victory for the Maryland Misfits. Our second match was between the Tennessee Titans with coach Jomama and Pandemonium Scarlet Knights. Another game with an early kill, as Quillfish used Barbarage on turn 2 against the Whimsicott from Jomama, who managed to survive the hit thanks to its Focus Sash, but with the poison activating, it still got taken out. But not before it could set up Tailwind. This was rather lucky for Jomama, as it gave the Decidueye Hisui 3 turns, and with its combination of close combat and choice band with Terra fighting, it managed to take out both Drifblim and Quillfish before the Tailwind ended. Then we saw Rabombi come in and scare off the Decidueye. Jomama thought that he could try to set a trap for Pandemonium, making him feel comfortable to use Quiver Dance, as he switched in his Oricorio with Dancer. But Pandemonium was smart enough to realize this and used Calm Mind to set up himself. Rabombi managed to survive the Air Slash from the Oricorio to set up Tailwind for itself, and then even taking it out with 2 Moonblasts. Jomama got greedy there, as he used a second Quiver Dance instead of just killing the Rabombi. Good thing he had the Decidueye, who Shadow Sneaked to take out the low health Rabombi. The match continued, and after a few turns, the Decidueye came out again. And here he took kill number 4 and number 5, with close combat once again, before Flygon won the match with an Earthquake against the Electrode from Pandemonium, giving Jomama the 4-0 victory. For the third match, we have Viking with the Oslo Okidogis and CB Fries with the New York Low Kicks. This week, there was no sneaky Zoroark, as it immediately revealed itself, doing a decent chunk on Rotom Frost. Chestnut immediately showing its worth, taking out the Ursaring, but then getting KO'd by the Sandslash, who also managed to remove Zoroark's Choice Scarf before it fell to the dark pools. Monkidori came in for the first time to take the Revenge Kill on Zoroark with a U-turn, giving us the matchup between Rotom and against Mimikyu. Thanks to the early damage from the Zoroark, the Mimikyu managed to take the KO on the Rotom. And here Viking decided to save his disguise on the Mimikyu to switch to Golok, who only barely managed to survive a second Brave Bird from Braviary thanks to Terra Electric, before taking out the Braviary with Thunder Punch. Once again, Monkidori comes in to take out both Golok and Muk, but not before getting dropped to 3%. Viking, saving the disguise earlier, now used this chance to set up a sword stance while Monkidori broke the disguise. A Shadow Sneak killed the Monkidori, and then a Drain Punch ended the Archaludon, giving Viking the 2-0 victory. Match number 4, we saw Redshirt and his Green Bay Pincers taking on Drakion with his Carolina Incineroars. Drakion has played this match masterfully. Early on in the match, Redshirt's Porygon 2 set up Trick Room for its Torterra, threatening EQ on Magneton. Drakion went into Grafaiai, who had an air balloon. He dodged the EQ and then used Prankster Encore on the Torterra to waste the Trick Room turns. And even then, got a cheeky parting shot switch out, lowering the stats of the incoming Granbull. It then took a while, but turn 8 gave us the first kill, when Breloom one-hit KO'd the Leafeon with close combat, before Neuven got the second KO with Draco Meteor on Mesprit, giving Drakion a big advantage. Then Granbull showed its worth, taking basically no damage from Breloom's Mach Punch and taking out Magmortar. A little bit after that, we saw Magneton sacrifice itself to do 74% of Porygon's HP with a massive Steel Beam, which was, sadly for it, quickly healed. Breloom came back to close combat again, and this time he KO'd Torterra, who took the hit for Porygon. In good news for Redshirt, he finally got rid of that Grafaiai with Lapras and Ice Shot, but not before Lapras got anchored into Ice Shot to give Cloth the perfect opportunity to set up. Using Terra Fire, it survived the Thunderbolt from Porygon 2, getting paralyzed, but also activating its Anger Shell ability to boost its stats even more. But for the Cloth, it completely ignored the para. It took out Porygon 2 and Granbull, who, with Intimidate, revealed the item from Cloth, which was Clear Amulet, before the Cloth survived on 1% to take out the Lapras for the 3-0 victory from Drakion. Drakion showed an incredibly good performance here, but Redshirt nearly had a chance to come back. If my calcs are right, then potentially Lapras could have survived the Choice Banded Mach Punch and then win the game with Ice Shot, but we will never know. In our 5th match, Toop's Moss Deep Mudkips faced off against Supremo Mega's New York Hydreigons. Unfortunately for Toop, this match was a one-sided affair. Toop brought some interesting ideas to the table with Terra Rock Rotom Fan, a Custard Berry Fortress set, and Chinchino, which seemed to be relatively good into this matchup. But Supremo Mega's team proved too resilient. The match never really felt like Toop had a chance to break through any of the walls from Supremo Mega, and things went from bad to worse when Supremo Mega's Rotom Heat landed not 1 but 2 critical hits on Toop's Terra Rock Rotom Fan. But not only that, the rest of Supremo Mega's team followed up with massive damage, consistently securing 2-hit KOs across the board. In the end, Toop lost 2 Pokémons to Rotom Heat, 2 more to Flamigo, and Trevenant wrapped things up by taking out the final 2. The only bright spot for Toop was Chinchino, who managed to take out Quagsire. But sadly, that wasn't enough to change the outcome. A dominant 5-0 victory for Supremo Mega. The 6th match of the week featured Red Sox Alex's fighting Lando T's against the Ottawa Ordinaries from lack of interest. As I briefly mentioned in the power rankings, Alex's team is insanely strong against physically offensive teams, and this match was the perfect proof. The game started with Goethe taking out the Dunsparce early, setting the tone for the match. Lack of interest responded by bringing in Ididi, but Alex had the perfect counter for it, Incineroar. Even though lack of interest correctly predicted that the Incineroar would come in and use Hyper Voice, it managed to tank the Hyper Voice and then using a Scarf to take out the Indeedee in return. Lack did not plan around this Scarf and it cost him dearly, as Dodrio did manage to take the revenge kill, but Lycanroc, being slightly faster, used its speed advantage to take the Dodrio out with close combat. When Snorlax tried to set up, Red Sox Alex simply switched to Mudsdale, which roared the Snorlax out. Though Mudsdale lost its Chesterberry to a knockoff from Komala, its stamina boosted body presses became unstoppable, especially since Indeedee was already out of the picture at this point. It then proceeded to dominate, taking out Snorlax, Tauros, and Komala, with rather ease, securing Red Sox Alex a 5-0 victory. Another matchup that proved nearly impossible for one side to overcome. In our second to last match between Nif and the Detroit Driftlums and Dacommy Gage and his NC Noble Roar, we saw a fairly well played game from both sides. One notable misplay came from Gage, as Ambipom should almost never use Fake Out against a team that has a static or flame body Pokemon, or only use it when it's equipped with protective pads. This cost him early, as Ambipom got immediately burned. Then we saw the match kick off, with Ember landing 2 superpowers to take out the Colossal, easily taking a Terra Water Blast in the process. However, this left Gage vulnerable, where Nif took the opportunity and brought in Sylveon, and each Hyper Voice dealt massive damage, KOing Ambipom from nearly full HP, taking 64% from Articuno and 75% from Serena, though it did not secure any KOs, because the next Pokemon to fall was Nif's Vikavolt, which took a Future Sight from Articuno and a knockoff from Serena, dropping it from 100% to 0 in one turn. Nif didn't have to despair, as this opened the door for his Virizion, which started to rack up some kills. Close combat against Serena, followed by another one against Cloyster, which was able to set up a Shell Smash. And with Nif gambling on no Ice Shard, he used Vacuum Wave to finish off the Cloyster. Then Articuno came in and fell to a Stone Edge, while Sandaconda at least forced a switch after paralyzing the Virizion. With a smart switch, Gage managed to bring the Emboar in front of the Sylveon, allowing it to set up a Flare Blitz that one-hit KO'd Tentacruel, giving him another kill. But this was the last of it, as Staraptor swept in to take the last 2 kills, securing a 3-0 victory for Nif. And our final match of the week? It is match of the week, between Grixie and his Titletown Tyrantrums and Lord Quall with his Denver Flare Blitz. Grixie started with a bold sacrifice, sending out Torkoal early to land a crucial Will-O-Wisp on Lord Quall's Cypher. Thanks to that burn, Jogalgi managed to survive and take out that Cypher with Draco Meteor, but not before both Pokemon missed their attacks twice in a row. Then Lord Quall pulled out a brilliant tactic. He set up Shift Gear with Riverroom, luring in Wishcash, which tried to hit it with Earth Power, but Riverroom pulled out Magnet Rise, making it immune to ground moves. It then traded blows with Wishcash and took it out. Fortunately for Grixie, Pawmod had an air balloon, or Riverroom could have caused some serious issues. Since River Room couldn't one-hit KO Palmot, it fell to a quick Volt Switch after being damaged by the Wish Cache. Grixie sent out Inteleon, but Lord Quall smartly countered with Klowitzer, a tough matchup for Inteleon. The result? A Dragon Pulse into Dragalgi as it switched in, securing a KO for Quall. Grixie brought Palmot back in, dealing massive damage to Diancie thanks to a critical hit. Lord Quall tried to predict the switch and clicked Beton Pass into Poltergeist, but Palmot one-hit KO'd it instantly with a knockoff. Hitmontop came in and revenge killed Palmot with Mach Punch, only then to get KO'd by the Honchkro's Bravebird. This allowed Diancie to come in, and wanting to keep Honchkrow safe, Grixie switched in Inteleon, who took a Moonblast from Diancie, dropping it below 50%. With a quick switch, this then allowed the Klowitzer to come in and finish off the Inteleon. If Inteleon that Honchkrow came in, took out the Klowitzer, getting a Moxie boost, and setting up a 1v1 showdown against Diancie. Honchkrow goes for the Bravebird, and Diancie survives with 5% HP. The leftovers, giving it enough HP to fire back with a Moonblast and securing a 1-0 victory for Lord Quall. What a match. With this, we have all of our matches for week 2. Let's take a look at the current standings. At the top, we have a 5-way tie between Niv, Jomama, Supreme Omega, Meta and Viking, with them only separated by a small amount of differential. While at the bottom of the table, we see some teams who have had rough starts but showed a lot of potential, or there are a lot of changes. It is still all for the taking, and we might see some of these teams rise to the top. In the end, we still have 6 weeks to go, so let's check out Nickname of the Week. This week, we have the Honchkrow from Grixie, called Milady. During times he isn't bravebirding the opponent's team, he's busy moderating discords, using its Moxie to make sure the ladies are safe, or to permaban those pesky troublemakers. And he's always ready to tip his head. For set of the week, we have a little bit of biased, as it is River Room from Lord Quall. It has a blatant weakness to ground, so oftentimes you run it with Air Balloon, Terra, or you go high risk. Lord Quall had a different idea, using Shift Gear to set up, to make himself faster, and then Magnet Rise to become immune to the ground move that was coming. In my opinion, a brilliant idea, and I never actually thought about that. It opens the item slot while sacrificing a move slot. Nevertheless, I love this set, and I think I'll try it out the next time I have River Room myself. That's it for week 2 of the schedule. Let's check out what we have for next week. And we start right away with match of the week. Niv and the Detroit Driftblimps fighting the Tennessee Titans from Jomama. I think this was expected with it being first against second, but both teams have shown a lot of strength, especially Jomama, who has had a massive rise to the top compared to last season. It's gonna be interesting if he can deal with Niv, who has shown that he's able to deal with everything that is thrown at him. Will Virizion vacuum wave another kill, or will Jomama give Niv his first loss? Our second match also has match of the week potential for different reasons. Both teams made changes to their team and are at the bottom of the table, but hungry for a win. We have the Moss Deep Mudkips from Tube against the Green Bay Pincius from Redshirt. Let's see if Tube's big overhaul or Redshirt's single change will make a bigger difference. For the third match, we have CB Fries and the New York Lokix fighting against Red Sox Alex with the Fighting Lando Tees. A rough start so far for CB Fries. While Alex already has secured his first win, he is still trailing behind, looking for that first W. Will this be the week, or will Alex manage to get an early advantage towards the playoff race? We will see. In the fourth match, we have the Boom Burst Backgammon from Alicalcos facing the Carolina Incineroars from Drakeon. Another Victini classic. They met in the final week of last season, where Alicalcos took the 2-0 victory. Now they will face at the beginning of the season, where stakes aren't as high as they were then, but I'm sure Drakeon will still want his revenge, while Alicalcos will want to try to prove last season's win wasn't a fluke. The Ottawa Ordinaries, from lack of interest, and an NC Noble Roars from Dacome Gage will want to go back onto their winning streak after last week's losses in our fifth match. Both teams have shown potential in their wins and weakness in their losses. It is up to their opponent to exploit that and take that W. Our sixth match is between the Titletown Torentrums, who have Grixie as their coach, and the Oslo Okedogis with their coach, Viking. Both teams look incredibly strong, and while Grixie hasn't won a game, both of his losses ended with a 1-0 scoreline. Viking will need to be careful not to get blinded by the 0-2 scoreline and make sure to give it his all, or he might lose this match. For the second to last match, we have Lord Quall with his Denver Flare Blitz, who have been giving us a great show so far, making match of the week twice. His opponent, the Scarlet Knights and Pandemonium, are not afraid to step into the spotlight to take that win. Will we see another match of the week, or will we see a cold and collected victory? And last but not least, we have another potential banger. Fourth placed Meta and his Maryland Misfits fighting third place Supreme Omega with his New York Dragons. An incredible start for both teams. Meta has shown he has the ability to control and win matches, while Supreme showed incredible usage of his Terra Captain Trevenant. Will Meta be able to fall the tree, or will the tree stand above the bodies of his enemies once again? We have so many great matches this week, and I can't wait to see how each match will go. I've spoken of some changes made, but let's check out all of them. Welcome to the GTS. This week we have 4 coaches making 12 changes in total, 3 new Terra Captains and 9 Pokemons getting traded. First, we see the New York Dragons making 4 changes, removing the Dunsparce, Persian Alola, and Metan to acquire Zebstrika, Umbreon, and Sliggoo Hisui. Zebstrika also becoming a Terra Captain instead of Cryogonal, who remained on the team. With the Dunsparce free, Jumama immediately grabbed it and said goodbye to Blissey, confirming the change of removing Blissey and acquiring the Dunsparce. My favorite change here is the Terra Zebstrika, who can be a menace in low tier. Now paired with Trevenant, Supreme Omega has 2 really strong Terra choices. Our coaches who made changes are actually fighting each other this week. Tube and the Moss Deep Mudkips decided to make 6 changes, including 2 new Terra Captains. He has removed Bishop, Rotom Fan, Hitmonchan, and Morgrem, while joining the Moss Deeps are Scrafty, Piloswine, Samurott, and Dedenne. With Rotom Fan and Hitmonchan leaving the team, their spots as Terra Captains are filled by Dedenne and Charizard, both of these captains' appointment being a free transaction. On the other hand, Redshirt and his Green Bay Pincers have decided to add the final Tauros that hasn't been drafted to join their team, taking the spot from Lapras. Now we can truly find out which Tauros will reign supreme at the end of the season. I think these changes are great for Tube. Scrafty is an underrated Pokemon which can often take over games alone, while Piloswine is incredibly good in low tier thanks to his access to Eviolite. It sometimes even outshines its evolution Mammuswine. And you cannot underestimate the Dene. Overall, I think these changes look incredibly good, and we will see if this will fix the issue that Tube has been dealing with. In my opinion, they will. But that's it for this week's episode. I will put a poll into the Victini announcement channel regarding watch parties, so we can figure out what times work best for our Victini coaches. You can vote and we will see what is decided. For week 1 and week 2, we will most likely either do it on Friday or Saturday, and then try to keep a steady schedule. Thank you all for your attention and watching Victini News. I wish you all a happy rest of the week and good luck on your matches.